Hello, today I want to give you some quick examples to have some base good quality in your code. So, one of the worst things you will see in big systems is something like this. An application which has hundreds of warnings. That's one of the best of the worst things you could actually see in code. For example, you see that here I have 435 warnings. And the more time you ignore, the more time that passes with you ignoring those warnings, the more warnings you will probably get. And the most difficult, the more difficult and time consuming it will be to fix them all. So, one of the best things to do is actually from the start of the development of your application handle these things. So my personal preference and something that I do recommend is actually as soon as you start your project, go and configure every project to treat warnings as errors. How do you do that? So for example, let's see, we have here this small solution I just created where I purposely added two pieces of code that I knew beforehand they were going to show me a warning. The first is assigning a variable that is never used in the scope where the variable exists, and the other is catching an exception with a name with a variable and rethrow the exception without using the variable. So the variable is actually not being used at all, and I'm just rethrowing the exception, not modifying the inner exception. Um, with that's another topic for other day. So basically, what I'm doing here is this variable is doing nothing. It's basically just wasting a little bit of compiling time and memory use because this int variable is going to use some memory uh, for basically just doing nothing. And this one I'm not using it at all. So what you do is you go to each of the projects, go to the properties, go to the build section, and there you will see errors and warnings, warning level 4, and below that you will see treat warnings as errors. So what I do is I basically choose all, and you will see that as soon as I save, some things will going to change down here. So in a second, the warnings are going to disappear and they are actually going to be recognized as errors. So if I try to compile my application, it won't let me because it will show me that there are those two errors. So what I do is, depending on what I want in the exception is I could just do this. I already fixed the exception. You see that it's not marked anymore. It actually disappeared from here, and this one I can actually just remove it, and that's it. My application has actually 0 errors at the moment, and you will see that the output for errors and warnings is way much cleaner, and turns that also creates some of the basics to have some good quality in your coding. Now, if you want to increase a little bit more the quality in your coding, you can actually run code analysis, or you can you could actually also configure the code analysis in the project properties, which you will see in a second. Is actually downloading all of my of the npm references because I haven't compiled the application before the before I start recording. So you will see it's probably here, getting all of the client app resources. Let's see, show all files, node models, and the staging. Yeah, the dot staging is existing there, so it's actually downloading all of the nugget of the npm dependencies. Okay, so well, let's cancel that. The other thing that you could actually do is you could run some code analysis, which you go with analyze, run code analysis, and solution, let's say, for example, and the code analysis will be run. It says code analysis completed, and you see that, for example, we have here this terminating the task executable cmd. Oh no, this is something else, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's say we had this int count equals default int, sorry, default int, if count. Let's just create some dummy code there that does nothing. Okay, if code throw new exception, and let's try to do that. You will see that in here actually have some small messages. For example, a private member where its controller logger can be removed as the value assigned to it is never read. The default expression can be simplified. These are actually code analysis results. So let's solution. Let's see, okay. Now the logger is actually never used in here. I mean, it's stored, it's retrieved by dependency injection, but so far there is actually nothing in the code using this logger. So if I need it, I could use it, but if I don't need it, it's actually much better to just don't have it. Now the default expression can be simplified. This is because if I have like the type assigned in here, the default expression can actually be simplified to only use the default without specifying the actual type, because the variable definition already knows the type. The logger can actually be removed from here too. I can remove the usage. I can remove this, and you will see that I have 0 messages, 0 of 1 error. Let's see, invalid token 00. Okay, that's typing issue. That's because I typed that by mistake. Okay, 0 warnings and 1 message. This is because I need to remove that. Okay, now let's just reveal the solution. Okay, we have 1 succeed, 0 fail, 0 skip. We have 0 errors, 0 warnings, 0 messages. And if we do some code analysis, we should not have anything there. For further or better code analysis results, you can also go to the properties, go to code analysis, specify the package and the new version. For example, the recommended analyzer. You can actually install the FX scope analyzers, and you can leave it set to run on build or run on live analysis, and that will pretty much configure your solution. That will pretty much configure your solution to have the code analysis on build with the FX scope rules. Yeah. You can go and choose another version, right? I don't know. Oh, it's not installed. Got an error there. I don't know why I got it. Let's see. No, I don't want the pre-release. Let's install. Let's choose OK. Accept. Let's see if the NuGet package actually gets installed. It seems it did. Okay. And now you will see that I have here a new error for code analysis. You will see that it has the prefix CA 2200. Rethrowing code exception changes the stack information. That's basically because I am capturing a sorry, I am capturing an exception and I am rethrowing it like this. So if I want to just rethrow, basically I just do this. I remove the variable name and I remove the variable name from the catch, and I remove the variable name which was after the throw. So now the throw will not modify the exception stack information, and the rethrown exception will actually be the original exception. And yeah, you will see that my application now has 0 errors, 0 warnings, 0 messages. It's already configured with code analysis, and since the project is already configured with the code analysis, the FX scope analyzer, with pretty much every change I do in my application, the code analysis will be executed, and I will have some good base quality code based on the specified rules for the code analyzer. And yeah, if you do that, you will never have some application like this unless you actually need it. Now, there are some cases in which you may not some specific cases in which you may not be able or may not want to treat some errors as warnings. So let's say that I have this. Okay, I can right click it and I can click suppress, and you can choose either suppress it by using the actual source or create a suppression file where you will have all of the suppression. This will suppress that in a specific line of code, and this will suppress pretty much for everything. In this case, let's just use this one at the moment. You will see that what I will do is add this pragma warning disable the actual code, and whatever is between those two pragmas will be ignored and not treated as an error anymore. Suppress in suppression file, you will see that it actually will create a new file which is named global suppression. It will add some code and it will add an assembly notation, suppress messages and usage, and it will add the actual details, and you can specify a justification of why it was removed and the target where it's going to be removed. So when do you want to suppress the warnings? So let's say that, for example, you are using some third party that you are using some third party um, dependencies that you cannot um, modify. So for example, we have this detected package version outside of dependency constraint. So that's a package um, that's a package that it's not of my own. I don't have the code, and modifying the actual reference in there will change the version, and it could potentially break the functionality for that. So these are the cases that uh, we may want to suppress uh, and not treat as errors, not even warnings, right? Though the best scenario, if possible, is to actually treat everything as errors and remove everything, remove the warnings, fixing your code so it doesn't have warnings, errors, nor code analysis messages or warnings there. So yeah, uh, hopefully it has been useful to you. Let us know what other things you do to create some high quality code. Thank you very much and have a great day.